Hi everyone, welcome to this session about studying at a university college in the Netherlands. Over the next, let's say 30 minutes or so, we're going to tell you a little bit more about what university colleges are, what the kind of education is they might offer you, whether it's a good fit for you, and how you would go about applying and finding the right university college for you. I'm not going to do that alone. There's three of us here. And I'm going to allow my colleagues to introduce themselves first. So Liz, maybe you want to start.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Zeller. I work for Leiden University College in the city of The Hague. And I'm also joined, but I'm not entirely sure if she's made it online yet. As you can see on screen, our colleague Kim Sitzerloot. She works for Utrecht University College Utrecht. Sorry, don't want to butcher the name, but she's having a few issues connecting. So she will be also part of this presentation and sharing her knowledge and insights with you guys as soon as she's online.
Yes. And then my name is Denise, and I'm the coordinator for student recruitment and admissions at University College Roosevelt, which is one of Utrecht University's university colleges and is located in Middelburg. So what we're going to do in this session is, first of all, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Netherlands in general. Why would you consider studying in the Netherlands? And what are the options that are available to you in English? After that, Elizabeth will tell you a little bit more about what the university colleges are and how they fit into the landscape in the Netherlands. And hopefully Kim will be able to join us to tell you a little bit more about whether this type of education could be a good fit for you, and how you might go about researching what university college would work for you. I'm going to kick it off with reasons to study in the Netherlands. Why would you consider coming to the Netherlands for your higher education? And there's really sort of three main reasons why students come and study in the Netherlands. The first is peace of mind. There's a couple of things there. So there's quality and reputation of education in the Netherlands. Dutch universities are highly ranked and are therefore giving you a degree that is transferable. So we're in the top 2% of universities worldwide, meaning that if you come to the Netherlands and you get your degree in the Netherlands, that is a degree that you can take anywhere in the world after that for a master's or a PhD program or a job. On top of that, and that's an important factor, the Netherlands obviously is not a native English-speaking country. However, there are a lot of English taught programs. You can see on the screen there's over 2,000 at each of the different levels. But also in the society itself, it's relatively easy to just get by speaking English without speaking Dutch. So if you're looking for that international experience, where you're thinking a little bit outside of the box, language is not necessarily a barrier if you're thinking about the Netherlands. So that's just the peace of mind aspect. You'll be able to study in English and you'll get a degree that's worth something anywhere in the world. Another important aspect, another important reason to obviously think about studying abroad is the student experience. What are you going to experience when you get there? And the student experience in the Netherlands is quite a fun one. So first of all, you'll see that the programs that are taught in English are highly international. So programs have anywhere between 30 and 80% international students. So you won't be the only one, and you're really entering a classroom that's very much an international classroom. And as such, you'll also be given a very warm welcome. It's not like we've been dealing with international students only for a few years. We've actually had international students on our campuses for quite some time. So that means, you know, there's an orientation program for international students. We'll help you figure out how to get a bank account, all these kinds of things that you need when you enter a new country. We'll help you with that, and it's definitely will help you take care of these kinds of things. Now, the Netherlands itself is quite an international society, so you'll have a whole range of different cultural experiences coming to the Netherlands. Not only will you be able to enjoy some of the prototypical Dutch things like cheese and tulips and windmills and these kinds of things, but you'll also be able to get the cultural experiences that other people in the country bring in. On top of that, the Netherlands is very much the hub of Europe, and in regular times, it's relatively easy to see the rest of Europe and enjoy those cultural traditions as well. So it's easy to hop on a train and go to Berlin or Paris, or hop on a flight to get to London. So not only are you getting the Dutch cultural experience, but you have the opportunity to enjoy the rest of Europe as well. And with that comes that sort of active student life part. It's obviously very much about studying, and the study experience in the Netherlands is very much centered around you as a student, you know, with a mix of different kinds of lectures and group work and different ways in which education is done. But the student life is also a part of that. So on all of the campuses, you will be able to join different societies, to do all kinds of fun activities. So from, you know, debate societies to parties to sports, all these things are available in English, and it's a huge part of becoming an international student in the Netherlands. And that's supported also through all kinds of student networks. So there's international student networks, there's European student networks that organize activities specifically for international students. Now, in terms of the support and the service, all of that is there, as you would expect from any other university around the world, and all of that is available in English. So when I'm talking about support, you can think about financial support, housing support. I'm helping you get a visa. If you run into issues at university, there is support available, psychological support, educational support. The thing with the Netherlands, though, and I think this is super important to realize, is that yes, all these services are there and we're there to help you, but we do treat you as an adult and an independent adult. So you do need to raise your hand and say, hey, I need your help. We're not going to follow you around to give you that kind of help. So in short, the student experience in the Netherlands, academically, you'll be in an international environment with really innovative education that's centered around the student, and that has lots of different ways to teach you the materials. And in terms of the cultural and student life experience, there'll be so much for you to explore in terms of just extracurricular activities, as well as Dutch festivals and cultural events. And we're there to support you through it if you ask for the help you need. Then finally, the value for money aspect is quite important for students applying to the Netherlands. Education in the Netherlands is not the most expensive around the world. So tuition fees are generally set by the government for European passport holders, and they're about 2,000 euros a year. If you have a non-European passport, you're looking at anywhere between 6,000 and 15,000 euros, with the majority being about 10,000 euros. So it's quite reasonable for the in-class time you get, the support from faculty members you might get. So that's another big component. So it's a good education that you can take around the world. It's an interesting student experience that's highly international and will be full of new cultural experiences for you, and it comes at the right price. Those are the reasons for students to really consider the Netherlands to begin with. Now, as you start thinking about the Netherlands, you might start to wonder, what is actually available in terms of the education that I could get? And it is really important to realize that the Netherlands is a binary system. And that means that we have two different types of higher education. We have universities of applied science, and we have research universities. Now, universities of applied science are 4-year programs, and they're professional higher education. So they train and educate students for a particular profession. So, and therefore they're 4-year programs because they include 1 year of internship and work experience. So if you think of programs like teaching or nursing or hotel management, physiotherapy, it's very clear what kind of profession comes after that. That's the University of Applied Science approach. That's the University of Applied Science education. On the other hand, we have research universities, and they're the academic type of education. They're research heavy, they train you to be critical thinkers, and their programs, well, there's a huge variety of programs available at research universities, but they tend to prepare for a master's degree and potentially a career in academia. And that's also where the university colleges come in. So again, if you're looking at the Netherlands, there's applied science universities preparing for really a professional higher education, and there's research universities, academic higher education, more similar to the types of universities that you would know around the world. And part of that are the university colleges, and they're a specific type of education. So the university colleges are part of the larger research university. So they're always linked to a research university, meaning that your degree will come from that research university. What makes them a little bit different is that they offer liberal arts and science education. And we'll get into the specifics in a little bit, but it basically means that contrary to what is very normal in Europe, where you study one discipline, the liberal arts and sciences will allow you to do a combination. They're close-knit academic and social communities because learning extends beyond the classroom. That's a big part of it. And those university colleges tend to be among the most international programs in the Netherlands. These 4 points is really what we're going to elaborate on over the next couple of minutes to explain what the university colleges are in a little bit more detail. And for that, I'm going to hand over the floor to Elizabeth, who's going to tell you a bit more.
All right, thank you, Denise. So now that you heard a little bit about the distinction of different types of education, we're going to focus today solely on the university colleges and what these are. And in essence, there is the American influence that comes for the university colleges with a liberal arts and sciences ethos. So what does this mean? Liberal arts and sciences, maybe some of you have heard of it, some of you may have not, but it basically is a multi and interdisciplinary curriculum. This means that you're going to have classes coming from the arts, coming from the humanities, coming from the sciences, the social sciences, and engineering, all under one whole umbrella. In the Netherlands, usually, and in most of Europe, usually when you choose to study something, you go particularly into that program, right? So if you want to study history, you only study history. If you want to study psychology, you would go directly into a psychology bachelor's degree. At the university colleges, because of this liberal arts and sciences ethos, it's spread across all the different disciplines and subjects and topics. So your degree is going to be an interdisciplinary by nature. There's quite a few different university colleges across the country, and though liberal arts and sciences is the one thing that does make us the same, we are quite unique and different in different ways, either from how the curriculum is set up. So some university colleges have it set up in themes, for example. Leiden University College, where I work at, we have 4 different themes, and that's how we teach the liberal arts and sciences. Other university colleges are residential, where students actually live and study together, like a University College Utrecht. You have a main campus and everybody's living there. Some have that, some don't. Other university colleges have very specific ways of learning and teaching with a problem-based learning system. So these are some of the variations that you can actually pinpoint and look at different university colleges and see, okay, is this something for me or not? This is something that's offered there or not? So we will all offer the arts, humanities, and sciences and social sciences. Even some of us offer additional subjects like engineering. University College Roosevelt has that. But the way that we construct it, the way that we do it, of course, that's going to be different. I think, Denise, you have to change for me. Thank you. But then we also have the British influence. There's also the college structure of Oxford and Cambridge. So you hear the word university college and you're like, what is it? Is it a university? Is it a college? The entire concept of a university college came to the Netherlands with that whole structure of how the universities, some of the universities in the UK are structured. So if you look at Oxford or Cambridge itself, they have colleges as part of the larger university. So the father, the one who brought everything here to the Netherlands, brought it with that sort of concept. So we're a college as part of the larger university. It's a tight-knit community, as Denise was mentioning before, academic and socially. So students are actually living most of the times and studying together. Class sizes tend to be relatively small. That's one of the benefits of a university college. So you actually get to learn a lot from your peers inside of the classroom, but of course, a lot of it happens outside. When we are saying small scale, university colleges can vary in size. Some of us are relatively small, can have around 300 students in total, all the way up to the larger ones that are 900 students maximum. But in average, you will always have between 14 to 28 students per class, 28 actually being already on the larger side of it. So most of the classes tend to be relatively small as well. So that means your interaction with your professor, with your peers, is going to be definitely much more direct and much more one-on-one. If you don't show up to class without having done your readings, the professor will know, but it's a lot more engaging and it's a conversation that you're having in class rather than just sitting down and listening to lectures happening. So that's actually something that's quite unique to university colleges. When we're talking about extracurricular activities, of course, every university has that, but that is something that we really emphasize within the Dutch universities. A university college really emphasizes the learning outside of the classroom. So anything from performing arts to sports, different guest lectures, different workshops happening. There's a lot happening on and off campus, and that's something that we actually want students to engage in. We want students to participate in, and that's part of the fun of being part of a university college. A small group of students who are all eager to learn. It's an academically challenging program, but who are also eager to be part of their community, both at the university college, but the cities where they live in, and ultimately in general, the Netherlands as well. And as I was mentioning, usually the residential, most of us have a residential setting. And it can be anything from an American-style campus. So University College Utrecht has a beautiful campus green, and that's where the buildings are all around, all the way to a city campus. Leiden University College is a vertical campus. We're in the city center of The Hague. To being in smaller cities, very typically Dutch cities like University College Roosevelt is in Middelburg. It's like walking through Harry Potter land. It's beautiful. So all of them are going to be quite unique in that sense, but having that residential aspect. I think we can go to the next one. And then the Dutch flavor. So we're saying we bring the American liberal arts and sciences with a British structure of universities and colleges, and then we added that Dutch flavor. And the Dutch flavor is that we've created it into an international honors college as part of the larger university. So we are we're selective honors colleges within the larger research university. So when you saw those two different distinctions Denise previously mentioned, we are very small programs within the larger universities, but also tend to be selective. And selective meaning that we actually get to pick and choose what kinds of students we want. My colleague Kim is going to go a little bit more into that in a second. But we're actually able to form the communities that we're going to have. And they're highly international. We're talking about 30 to 50%, if not even higher, of our students come from abroad, but also our staff. And abroad meaning it's not only the nationality that you have, but it's the experiences that you're coming from, the education systems that you're coming from. A lot of the students that tend to end up at university colleges, if you ask them the question, where are you from? It's like the worst question you can ask, you know, I don't know, don't ask me that. And everybody relates to that. So that's actually kind of nice that you are going to be finding your peers and may relate to that. And also peers that actually don't. When you tell them, where are you from? They're like, down the street, and I've never moved my entire life. And it's nice to have that mixture between being very international and very diverse, but also having that local and Dutch flavor as well. And of course, as I was mentioning, the staff, it's Dutch professors, but also a very large mixture of professors and academics coming from all around the world. So you're going to have that internationality and that diversity within your classrooms and outside of your classrooms as well. And then we will move forward to who's the right kind of student for this. And I'm not entirely sure if my colleague Kim is already on here.
I am back.
Ah, there we go. Good.
Right permissions as well. I don't know if I can move the screen though. That's the only thing. But you can hear me, so that's something. My apologies to everyone present. I have a problem with my camera, and for some reason it will not connect. So you're just going to hear me today, and you saw a picture of me at the beginning, so just imagine that with it. If I look at the kind of student that runs around at University College Utrecht, as well as at Roosevelt, Leiden, at any of the other university colleges, there is a particular type of student that thrives in these environments. And those are students that are academically strong, that are intellectually curious, and that love knowledge. So our students tend to really love studying. They get excited about ideas. They have little theories about the world. They keep up with what's going on in the world. They listen to podcasts, read blogs, watch all kinds of documentaries. They get really excited about learning, really. On top of that, they also tend to be very socially involved. They contribute to the community, both on campus and off campus, and they have an international focus. Now that can manifest itself in multiple ways. A lot of university college students will be involved in voluntary work, for instance. They often work with refugees in the Netherlands, or they go into old folks' homes, but they're also very active in the community of their college. So they will be organizing a musical, or participate in Model United Nations, lots of sports going on, all of those things. And they obviously have an international focus. Whether they have an international background or not, they are always students that are curious about the world at large and that want to get that international experience. So it's really that particular mix. So if you think you're that kind of student, then the next question to ask, of course, is, so which university college is the right one for me? Because at this moment, we have about 11 university colleges in the Netherlands. If you're looking at that, there are 4 points you need to look into. The first one is curriculum and teaching style. As mentioned earlier, with some of them you have complete freedom to compose your curriculum, with others there are preset majors, so that's something you want to look into. But there are also differences when it comes to subjects that are being offered. Some, for instance, offer computer science, whereas others do not. Some will have business, others do not. So you want to look into that. Then on top of that, the teaching can differ too. I've just lost the screen, guys. I can't see the slide anymore. I don't know if that's the case for everyone.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a hiccup.
But
But
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
someone changed the presenter, so I'm gonna put it back up.
Okay. Well, basically it's those 4 points. It's curriculum and teaching style you want to look at. So aside from the subjects, also have a look at how things are being taught. For instance, Maastricht University College, as well as Erasmus University College, they have a so-called problem-based learning system, meaning that students get together in small groups with 12 to 14 students, and they talk through a problem case and apply the material. Others have a little bit more of a traditional system, but always small scale. So you will be on average with 18 to 20 students in the classroom, no matter which university college you choose. And then you would often simply have a professor teaching you, with lots of interaction as well. The second thing you want to look at is the residential structure. As Liz already mentioned, some of them have a campus structure, either a city campus or an American style campus. Some of them have asked you to find your own student housing. So that's something you want to look into as well. You want to have a look at the city as well, obviously. Living in Maastricht is very different from living in Groningen or living in Middelburg for Roosevelt, or Leiden, The Hague, or in Utrecht. We're all very different cities, from relatively small to relatively big, from urban and medieval to urban and very modern, but also more rural and provincial. So you want to have a look at that and what kind of environment do you want to live. And the last one, probably the most important one, but also the most difficult one to communicate online. The atmosphere at each college is different, and the type of student that feels at home in these countries, in these colleges, is different. So if you have an opportunity to visit at some point, do so, because you will get a good feeling for what would be the right fit for you. And of course, given that that's difficult at the moment, have a look at all the social media of all the different colleges. They all have students hosting it, so you will get a little bit of a feeling for that as well. So if you then decide, okay, I'm interested in applying, I found a few that I think would be a good fit for me. Be aware indeed it's selective admissions. They are pretty competitive, the placements. Deadlines are anywhere between December 1st and July 1st, with most of them being on the earlier end of this. You want to check the specific program website for that. There will be a GPA requirement, depending on what type of diploma you are doing. That will also differ per college, so make sure to check that. And there will be further documentation requirements. So for instance, proof of English proficiency if you haven't done your full degree in English. On top of that, the selection consists of multiple elements. Pretty much every college would ask you for a letter of motivation, often also recommendation letters, grade transcripts, and then based on that, based on an essay as well, there may be an interview. And as you can see, there are really multiple elements to the admissions process, because they really want to get a good idea of whether you are a good fit for that community. So it really is holistic, similar to the US in that way. We're not just interested in who you are as a student, but also in what you would contribute to the community at the college. So that's basically what the admissions process is looking at. There are a few colleges, University College Roosevelt and University College Utrecht among them, that also do a February intake. So if you're interested in not starting in September but in February, that will also be an option at those colleges. And then I think we go to the last slide. So yeah, so if you're interested in the university colleges, June 5, that's a Friday, there will be a big event by the Dutch Research University Consortium, which will be about studying in the Netherlands in general, but also about the individual universities. And pretty much all the universities present there, almost all of them also have a university college. So if you would like to get in touch with specific university colleges, this is an excellent opportunity. If you're interested in that, you can email us as well. We will put our email addresses in the chat box. Except that my chat box doesn't work now, but then maybe one of my colleagues can put my email address in.
Yes, of course. And I think now it's also your opportunity, if you have any questions regarding either our particular programs or in general university colleges or the Netherlands, to use a chat function, post them there, so we can try to help you guys out. And I will post our email addresses there for everyone also to see.
I think we've been very, very clear if there are no questions.
Well, there's a question coming in, and that's, is there a league for sports? And I think it's important to understand that while sports is definitely a possibility and something to do beyond your studies, we don't have the big leagues like they would have in the US or Canada, for example. So it's mostly intramural fun and not necessarily big leagues.
At the same time, the university colleges between themselves, there's a huge competition actually. So there's always one big day a year where all the university college students will come together and compete against each other. And that can be sports, obviously, as well, but it will also be DJing and dance and bands and all kinds of things, and debating as well. And in the run-up to that, they usually have games against each other. So for instance, Leiden University College will play against University College Roosevelt in a soccer match in February, for instance, and then in April they play against Maastricht. So there is that, but it's not of a professional level, no.
We'll stay here for another couple of minutes to see if there are any questions. And again, if you have a question, please type them in the chat so that we can actually see them.
I've also posted all of our email addresses for all of you guys to see. So if you're interested in joining the DrewView chat that my colleague just talked about, send any of us an email so we can make sure we send your registration once it opens up. And that's a great opportunity to learn a little bit more in general about the Netherlands. Oh, one just came in from, oh, a few came in. Giacomo asked, is it easy to find accommodation outside campus? Great question. I will take it, sure. To be very honest, that is, the Netherlands is very great in many, many things. Affordable education, great quality of education, fantastic country, fantastic cheese and tulips. Housing is a problem. That is one of our pitfalls, I would say. If the program you're applying to, so if you're not applying to a university college, basically, usually housing is not part of the program, and you would have to apply to whatever housing the university is offering. And housing is limited. The university housing offered through the bigger universities tends to be limited because here in the Netherlands, we don't own housing. As universities, we don't own the housing that's available for students. It's usually managed by third parties, third companies that are there managing student housing. There's definitely always housing reserved for international students from every university, but that number, as mentioned, is limited. So it's important to start your search early and to start your search in various ways. So not only wait for the university to reply back with what housing they have or have not for you, but make use of social media channels, of other housing agencies, of other types of options that the university has listed on their website. All the universities have different options available for you, and to start your search early. I would say that if you're thinking of moving in August and you're starting your search in June, it's going to be a little bit late, especially you're going to start stressing out about that. So it is something to consider when you are applying to a program that does not have housing as part of the program. Now, the three of us here today, our programs, our university colleges, all have actually housing as part of the program. So that's something that if you were to apply to Leiden University College or University College Roosevelt or University College Utrecht, that is something you would never have to be worried about when you move to the Netherlands, regardless of where you actually come from. There was another question that came in by Aditi. How is it, oh, you went away. How is it going to work for international students that can't travel to the Netherlands for their studies? Any of you guys want to take that?
Sure. So most universities are currently still working on scenarios, and the scenarios that are being worked out are anywhere from being fully online education in September to on-campus education in September, but within the guidelines of the Dutch government, or a hybrid form thereof. So most universities are currently working under the assumption that we will be in person on campus if we can, but for the time being, we'll be offering online education. So there's not a sort of one answer fits all in this question. It's really, students will have to follow up with their universities that they are looking at attending in full and see, you know, if they will be offering online education or if they'll be offering the chance to defer. It will be different for each institution, unfortunately, at this point.
Yeah, but I do think one thing that a lot of universities are keeping in mind, and I think that's just what has been agreed with across all Dutch universities, is that the opportunity should be there the same for those who are on campus or not. So if for some reason you have enrolled in University X and you cannot make it to the Netherlands because your country is on lockdown, there's no flights, your visa's delayed, there could be many reasons that in most cases, I don't see how that would not be the case. You would still be able to follow classes in one way or another until you're able to make it to the Netherlands. So I think that's something most universities are definitely including in their communication to students. So you shouldn't have to panic about having to make it physically to the country by a certain date. This is going to be, you know, it's a crazy year for all of us all around the world in so many industries and in so many ways. And all we can try to do is be as flexible as we can and as patient as we can, both from the university side, but also from the student side. And I think that's what we're mainly trying to do. But that's a great question. And definitely keep yourself updated on the website of the university. Things change now daily. So whatever you read yesterday may have changed tomorrow. So definitely make sure that you're reading up on those updates. Mila sent another question. Is not being a sportive nor a musical person a handicap? It's a good question, Mila.
I can take that one if you like.
That'd be great. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah. Because in itself, we're not looking for people who meet a certain checklist. We're looking for people who will enjoy studying and who will be good students, who are strong enough academic students, and who will contribute to the community in whatever way suits them. So if you're maybe not a great musician and you're not really into sports, but you do really like to go to these events and cheer them on, and you like to hang out with your friends and maybe start a little book club or something like that, that's perfectly fine as well. We're looking for people who will contribute to the community in whatever way fits their character. So it doesn't have to be one thing or the other. We want a variety on campus. We want all kinds of different people on campus bringing their own strengths with them. So no, you don't have to be a perfect musician or sportsman or anything like that.
No. And then Alex also asked a question about, do Dutch universities give out sports scholarships? Denise, I'm going to let you answer that because you already went into the whole sports thing.
Well, the answer is very simple, no. No, let's talk scholarships more in general. Sports scholarships do not exist in the Netherlands, simply because we don't have the leagues either. So there isn't a reason for us to do these kinds of scholarships. Now, financial aid in general is limited in the Netherlands for undergraduate programs. So that is something to really consider. Yes, education in the Netherlands is really affordable, but it also means that there isn't a lot that we can give as universities to help you beyond that. Now, there are some programs, and the university colleges do generally fall among them, that would have some financial aid available, generally for non-European students, though not always. So that is something to research a little bit further if you're looking at studying in the Netherlands.
Yep. And another student asks, what will happen with Brexit? Will UK students be classed as international students now, and how will that impact them? Kim, do you want to take that, as the UK is your...
Sure. Unfortunately, we have been giving the same answer to this question for the last 3.5 years now, and the answer to that is we don't know. Because it really depends on the outcome of the negotiations, and they are still negotiating. Now, the good news is that right now UK students, of course, pay the European student fees, but the European fees are not only for members of the European Union. They're also for members of the European Economic Area, such as Norway, or for countries that have a bilateral agreement, such as Switzerland. So it's not automatic that when the UK leaves the EU that you will automatically pay higher fees. There are other options for that. The only problem is, of course, it may be that there's no such bilateral agreement. And in that case, it may indeed be the international fees. So worst case scenario, British students pay the international fees as of January 1st. Best case scenario, there is some kind of bilateral agreement, meaning that the British students would continue to pay the European fees. And you will know once we know, because at this moment, we still don't know, I'm afraid.
The only thing we can guarantee at this point is for British students, British passport holders, starting in fall 2020, so this fall, is you will still be paying European fees, and you'll be paying European fees for the duration of your studies. So that is the one thing at this point that we can say for sure. And then for students starting beyond, the story that Kim just told you basically goes, we don't know yet.
Yeah, so if you are, I'm not entirely sure who has joined us here today, but if you are a senior, so someone who's graduating this year with a UK citizenship or nationality, and you have been accepted to a Dutch university, the only guarantee we can give is that if you enroll this year, you'll still qualify under EU fees. Next year, we're not entirely sure, but hoping to be more on what Kim has suggested, that it may be a bilateral agreement. So that's the only certainty.
Scrolling through the questions, there's actually a few that are related to the same topic. First of all, finding a job while you are a student, and then finding a job afterwards.
Finding a job while you're a student, I can take that, and after, sure. It really depends also on your nationality. So anybody who has an EU passport, it's really easy to find a job in the sense that you don't need a working permit. So you can work at a cafe, at a restaurant, as a pet walker, a nanny, whatever it is that you want. You won't need to have that working permit. And you can work as much as you want. For non-EU students, it's a bit tricky. There are limitations on the number of hours you can work per week. And there's also, of course, the limitation that you will have to get a work permit. Some companies will get that, some companies won't, especially a bar or a restaurant who employ students for a few hours a week. They're not going to do that whole process. So that is a bit trickier for non-EU students, if I'm very honest. But I know a lot of my non-EU students used to do a lot of side jobs like babysitting services, pet walking, that kind of stuff, which they don't need to have a contract for, and they're able to get some pocket money. Never, doesn't matter what nationality you actually are, consider coming to the Netherlands thinking that you're going to be able to pay all your costs, your living costs, by just actually working on the side. So that's something that we always say in our general presentation when you're looking at financing. The Netherlands, yes, indeed, has quite affordable tuition fees and affordable education. but we don't offer a lot of scholarships or a lot of financial support outside of what the government offers. So you always should consider having some of your own savings or income or support from your parents or others to help you through your studies. Though those side jobs are not going to cover all of your expenses. And for you guys to have a general idea of what the cost might be per month in general in the Netherlands, and of course this depends where you live, for rent, food, health insurances, all of those kinds of things, you should expect to be paying between 800 to 1,000 euros a month. Some cities, of course, being a lot cheaper and some cities being a lot more expensive. So that's the average to keep in mind that you should be thinking of. Now, finding a job after your studies, the good thing there for non-EU students is that once you have graduated from a Dutch university, you actually can apply for what is called a searcher visa. It's a 1-year visa and residence permit that allows you to live in the country, but also work. And it's not only limited to the Netherlands, it's now applicable to all of the EU. So you are able to get that working permit that allows you to get work experience in a particular company or a particular country that you're looking at until you're able to stay there, and hopefully that company would be able to pull you in afterwards, after that year is up. So you can apply for that searcher visa after your year is over. What kinds of jobs are available? Of course, that depends on what you're studying, where you want to live in the Netherlands, what you're focusing on. There's parts of the country that focus more on certain types of industries than others, but there's great job opportunities afterwards for sure. The fact that also a lot of our industry and a lot of the companies that are found here are quite international in that sense. It's a little bit easier for students who do not speak Dutch to be able to find some opportunities there to also get work experience afterwards without having to be fluent in the language. So that's one of the benefits of the Netherlands as well.
Yeah. Another question was asked by Lucia. What percentage of students are able to successfully end the 4 years of university? That's going to be so dependent on the program. There is no statistics available for the entire country to give you an idea there. So that's a little bit hard to say.
I think if you, Lucia, look at what kind of program you're interested in, then that's much easier to then get that information from that particular program. Because definitely the larger programs, the very, very large programs, you know, their percentage will be maybe a little bit smaller in how many students actually graduate in the time frame compared to a smaller program like ours where we can track our students a little bit more. Our percentages at university colleges tend to be much higher than the norm in the Netherlands. So that's something to think about what program you're looking at, what kind of university you're looking at, and then do your research based on that.
Absolutely. Another question coming in from Mila, is the Netherlands a safe country? And that's obviously a very important thing to think about when you start looking at studying abroad. I don't know the exact number right now, but the Netherlands is among the safest countries in the world.
I think it's very safe except for your bicycle. I think if you're going to experience some sort of safety threat, it's your bike might get stolen. But
that's actually the highest crime rate in the Netherlands is bike theft. So that probably tells you enough.
That being said, it doesn't mean that that nothing happens here, right? And that it's a utopia. Of course, you have to be mindful and be aware. And some cities, the larger cities, have different crime rates than smaller cities. But in general, it's a really safe, open, friendly country. I myself come from Ecuador, from Latin America, where the situation was very different. So for me to have the option to ride my bicycle at 10 o'clock at night without having to look over my shoulder 3 times all the time has been, it's like a breath of fresh air every single day. I love the feeling of being able to walk out of my house and not worry about what do I have, what do I not have, should I take my rings off, should I take my earrings off, although my earrings are not very wanted by the people around. I think they're lemons. But you know, so it's a pretty safe country. So it's in that sense, you shouldn't worry. You should actually just look forward to it. I think we covered a lot of the questions that came in, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we have them all.
Oh, is there some kind of scholarship for non-European students? That's a good one. There is a general scholarship that's available for non-EU students called the Holland Scholarship. Most universities qualify for it. It's unfortunately a small scholarship. It's a one-time award of 5,000 euros. You can apply for it once you have applied to a university. It's not going to cover all of your costs, but it will certainly help you settling into the Netherlands if you're able to get that scholarship. I have to say that even though it's been published, it's out there, students know about it, I have a feeling that very few students actually apply for it and don't make use of it. So a lot of the scholarships actually go to waste in a way. They're not used. So I certainly encourage you guys who do not have an EU citizenship to make use of that opportunity, apply for that scholarship. The program will select the students that are eligible for it. But if not many students are applying for it, then of course there's money there to be given to encourage non-EU students to come. So take a look at it. It's called the Holland Scholarship.
Now, I don't know if there's any Europeans in the audience today. The scholarship Liz just told you about is very much reserved for non-European students, and much of the financial aid that programs have on offer is reserved for non-EU students. European students, you qualify for a tuition fee loan from the Dutch government. So that's a way that, that's something that can help you to finance your studies. It is a loan, so you have to eventually pay it back. The terms are really good, and it's very different from a US university loan, for example. So that is something that you can qualify for as a European citizen.
Yeah, that's very good to know.
Maybe to add to it as well, for the Holland Scholarship, how you apply to it differs a little bit per university. So make sure you really check with the university what they expect you to do.
Yeah, good point, Kim.
Now, as no new questions have come in, I think we can start wrapping up.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone for attending. I hope that next time I get to see you actually, and you get to see me, because it's a little bit weird talking into a void right now. But thank you so much for attending, and we hope that we made you curious about the university colleges in the Netherlands.
Again, if you want more information, you can reach out to any of us. Our email addresses are in the chat, so make sure to find them and write them down. Again, June 5th, there will be an opportunity to talk to some of the research universities in the Netherlands and learn a little bit more. So if you want to go ahead and find out more information, those are your first opportunities. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope all of you are safe and healthy. Wash your hands. Good luck, and hope to see you around at some point.
Bye.